Katie, you talk about violence. I'm old enough to remember when police officers around the country were being assassinated. 5 in Dallas at a mostly peaceful protest. And now you have Democrat members of Congress going on there. I was assaulted. I mean, they looked real assaulted to me. I mean, roughed up grandma there.
It's a show. And again, what are the Democrats' priorities? So the mayor of Newark oversees a city that right now has a huge problem with their airport. It's an international hub. He's not dealing with that problem. It's a city that has a higher than usual crime rate compared to the national average. And what is he doing? He's showing up at a federal facility, trespassing, breaking in, and getting arrested for show. And then the congressmen and women who are there with him go out to the cameras and claim that they're assaulted. Well, it's not assault when you break in to federal property, and it is a federal crime to trespass without permission. And I think if you look at the way that certain people have been prosecuted for trespassing on federal property, and Democrats continue to say the law is the law, that maybe they should be prosecuted in the same way as the insurrectionists. Exactly.
Harold.
Exactly.
Another sort of forward-looking issue. Watching him on The View today and watching some of the interviews he did over
Thank you for your viewership.
Yeah, I saw it. It's rare for me, but I did watch it. I will just say, watching him over the last few days reminded me that a whole bunch of people were telling us with a straight face that this man was capable of serving another 4 years as president. And that these appearances, coupled with what I understand is going to be the equivalent of a nuclear bomb dropped on the Democratic Party when Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson's book come out next week, I don't know that the Democrats have fully internalized what's about to happen to them. Between what he looks like today and what they're about to report, get ready.
I am not sure that Joe Biden
said. The federal district court, whose judge is hearing this case right now, said, and I'm quoting, that the administration has provided no evidence linking Abrego Garcia to MS-13 or any other terrorist activity. I'm not vouching for the man. I'm vouching for his due process rights.
Sir.
No, Madam Secretary, with respect.
I would suggest that you defend and stand alongside the victims of illegal crime.
This is political rhetoric.
Citizens who live here and are United States Americans. I would suggest you adadvocate for them as hard as you do.
Madam Secretary, I know you're doing a political speech here. I get it. I'm asking questions of law. No, you're just spewing rhetoric.
I truly believe this.
You're spewing rhetoric. Let me ask you this.
I think this was very hard for Joe Biden. And I think he took responsibility for that. He did not say what you just said, Scott, that he said. You said that you said that he told Kamala Harris that she could not have any distance from him.
It's been reported. He told
it doesn't matter what he was.
He told her point blank, no daylight, kid, no daylight.
Because reporting can never be wrong?
Are you attacking the journalism around it?
You think reporting can never be wrong?
If you want to be
you come in, you come on here and you attack reporting every night.
I do not.
We actually asked him the question
There's critical
directly.
reporting about this guy, and he told her point blank, no daylight.
We asked him directly today. Did you tell her that?
You think he's ever told a lie?
I don't think he tells many lies.
Cognitive decline, I can tell you that much.
I don't think he tells many lies. I don't think he's done a...
Come on.
Wait. No, you know why you don't get to laugh like that? Because you support a guy who lies every freaking day and lies continuously. You support a guy who cannot acknowledge that he lost the 2020 election and that lies about it.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's in Jake. Have you read it? Have you read it?
Guys, we got to go. Thank you very much.
Okay.
You say the left is a cult. Oh, yeah. It's not the whole of the left. Let's be fair. I can do the same thing with the right. And I can say, look, they're completely insane. Look at these nutbags on Twitter.
You'd be wrong.
Really?
How is it that the popular vote winner, Donald Trump, was a Democrat? Tulsi Gabbard, DNI, former Democrat that I supported in 2020. And now the Republican MAGA movement, not the neocons, is an eclectic bunch of diverse views which debate each other. Charlie Kirk, Christian conservative, invites moderate pro-choice Tim Pool onto his stage to discuss those views to the public. On the left, what do you think would happen if you went and opposed their views at a public forum? You'd be threatened with violence. Booking liberals to come on my show or any other show, people in this
we have the same problem.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk.
I can sit in front of a libertarian like Dave Smith and Charlie Kirk at the same time, and we leave with beers in our hands, smiles on our faces. And Dave will say, Charlie, I really do appreciate it. I think you do good work. I know we disagree. The left doesn't do that. They firebomb your buildings. You could not define what they believe. It's impossible.
My question is for Tush James.
will you apologize to President Trump for wasting millions of dollars and the state of New York for a witch trial? And how does it feel to know that you will be in prison for mortgage fraud?
Thank you for coming. We want to thank him for coming. We respect all opinions. Everybody knows those allegations are baseless. They're discredited. And so we want to thank him. Our next speaker.
All right, Friday night, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing good. As always, be blessed in Jesus' mighty name. Rumble is down tonight, so if you can, anybody, send them a message. Tell them to go over to Twitter. I think we're on Facebook and YouTube, maybe at least for tonight. We've been on YouTube for a while. We get banned all the time, shadow banned all the time. But anyway, we are on those platforms. We're definitely on Twitter. I'm watching myself right now on Twitter. So anyway, just if you know anybody, send them a text, whatever, and tell them that we're over on Twitter, because most of our viewers do go to Rumble, and Rumble's had, what is it called, Aaron?
A DDoS attack.
DDoS?
Yeah.
Is that right? DDoS attack. They've been down for hours because I saw it earlier in the afternoon today, so they've been out for a long time. But anyway, let's hustle right on into this. So we had a Democratic Party lunatic meltdown in a way I've never even seen before. Ever since COVID, I've seen so many things that I've never seen before, ever. And this is something that I have not seen before. So we'll start off with a Homeland Security tweet. Today, as a bus of detainees was entering the security gate at Delaney Hall Detention Center, which is, by the way, a private contractor that works for DHS, that works for ICE. You got ICE, CBP, all under DHS. Tom Holman, that's all under Kristi Noem DHS. This is a detention center that is contracted out. So it's actually private property under the contract of the United States government, just so everybody understands the context. A group of protesters, including 2 members of Congress, whose names are Robert Melendez Jr., who is the son of Gold Bar Bob, and Bonnie Watson Coleman, were there. Including 2 members of U.S. Congress, stormed the gate and broke into the detention center. And it was also the mayor of Newark, also, we'll get to him in a minute, refused to leave and was arrested. The allegations by Newark politicians that Delaney does not have the proper permitting is absolutely false. It is a contracted DHS basically holding facility which has been used for, I don't know what the amount of time is, but for a considerable amount of time. So that's setting it up. All right, let's go to the next one. Where the heck am I? Here we are. Rep Wesley Hunt. This is, I'm trying to remember the mayor's name, but I think it shows it anyway.
Raz.
What is it again?
Raz Bakar.
Yeah, it's some funky name.
Yeah.
Raz, shout it out, Aaron. See what you got.
Baraka.
Raz Baraka. Raz Baraka. So it's a Rep Wesley Hunt press office video. Dems gone rogue. This is him just setting this up. This was him, not today, I don't believe. I believe this was actually yesterday. He ended up kind of doing the same thing today. Actually, he made it inside and then refused to leave. But this is setting up the context. This is what has been going on there for a day or two. Play it for me.
Leave for your car. Values. Yeah, right here.
Build this country up, and it's a shame that the IRS is sharing information with ICE. It's a shame that people have died against a giant without legal representation and without the support of anybody.
They denied our people entry yesterday. The health department, coders, UCC officials, fire department, they denied them entry yesterday. So we all came today, collectively to make them let us into this place today. They're saying that they have to wait for ICE to give them permission, which is not the truth.
They own it.
Right. The ICE doesn't have to give them permission. They don't even have a long-term lease at this point. They just have a contract. And so they're completely responsible for what's happening here, the GEO Group.
And again, I tell you, if you're single out there, find somebody who looks at you the way the Democratic Party looks at MS-13 illegal border crossers. I mean, really, find somebody who cares about you the way that the Democratic Party cares about illegal border invaders. Find somebody who cares about you the way the Democratic Party cares about deported Tren de Aragua and MS-13 members. Find somebody who looks at you the way that they do. All right, let's go to the next one. Nick Shorter video, breaking multiple Dem members detained, arrested, kicked out of the ICE facility. Play for me.
So we have some new information from DHS regarding this incident that we've been watching. I know this is sort of a static shot here of these few folks on the other side of this fence, but we want to fill you in on what has been happening in Newark, New Jersey. DHS says, quote, a group of protesters, including 2 members of Congress, stormed the gate and broke into the ICE detention facility. The members, Robert Menendez Jr. and Bonnie Watson Coleman, and multiple protesters are holed up in a guard shack area, the first security checkpoint. Interim U.S. Attorney Alina Habba for the District of New Jersey posting on X that Newark's Democrat mayor, Ras Baraka, was there and, quote, committed trespass. Here he is talking about the facility earlier in the week.
We know what ICE has done in the past. We've seen them. We know how they operate. We know that they have picked people up who have not broken any laws. We know they've deported people and refused to bring them back.
All right, so there you go. This is all setting this up. So look at this. This will be the story somewhat in its entirety. Rep. Wesley Hunt, press office video, Dems gone rogue. Play for me.
Correspondent Eric Shawn has more on what is unfolding in Newark. Eric, what have you learned?
Yeah, Martha, that protests ongoing at that ICE center, as we have been seeing in Newark, New Jersey, involving those 2 members of Congress and the city's mayor taken into custody. The protest at Delaney Hall, it's a huge privately operated detention center. You know, for weeks, it's been the target of demonstrations there. Reports from a DHS spokesman tells Fox News that the protesters were outside the facility, that when that gate opened, you can kind of see it there. The gate opened, a van went in. Then they say some of the protesters and 2 members of Congress stormed in right through the gate. Those representatives, as we have reported, Democratic Congressman Robert Menendez Jr., son of the former senator who was disgraced and convicted in a corruption case and resigned, and Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, both Democrats. In a statement, DHS is saying this, quote, these members of Congress storming into a detention facility goes beyond bizarre political stunt and puts the safety of our law enforcement agents and the detainees at risk. Members of Congress are not above the law and cannot illegally break into detention facilities. Had these members requested a tour, we would have facilitated a tour of the facility. It is an ongoing situation. Martha, as you mentioned.
All right, so there you go. Now, here is outside. And again, I know you're just getting kind of the outskirts of the store. We're going to let it kind of play out in front of your eyes, and then we'll talk about it. But anyway, next one up. Where am I at exactly? Where am I at?
Carly Bonet.
Carly Bonet video. Okay, here we go. Fool around and find out. FAFO. This is just beautiful. Now, so the Democrats, I should have actually done this in reverse order and showed you the video, and then you'd understand the context of what I'm talking about right now, if you haven't seen already, which you probably have because it was going viral, although Rumble's down. But anyway, now after this, the Democrat, and again, I should have showed you this other video. The one that's next, I should have showed you first. But anyway, there was a big physical confrontation out in front of this gate that involved the mayor of Newark, Ras Baraka, involved Robert Menendez Jr., Bonnie Watson Coleman, which I'm assuming both. I know Menendez is one of the congressmen out of New Jersey. I'm assuming Bonnie Watson Coleman is also a congresswoman out of New Jersey. And there was a big physical confrontation, and now they're claiming that they were assaulted. Play it for me.
End of it when we go home tonight. The fight continues. It will continue until we correct the course that we are on.
We are going to leave here, and we are going to where they are holding the mayor.
Okay, I think we've heard from all of them, a very emotional Robert Menendez Jr., and there were descriptions of assault that happened to these 3 individuals At the moment, they appeared to be okay as they were railing against this ICE detention facility and their treatment there. Alina Habba, a U.S. attorney in New Jersey, joining me again. So, Alina, you heard their descriptions of what happened. They said that the mayor was outside the fence and that he was taken away by 20 armed individuals and that they were all intimidated by federal officials on this property. What do you say?
I'm going to say the truth and correct them. I'm sorry that you're trying to politic this. Let me be very clear. You're right. Congress people have the right to investigate, and we allowed them in, number one. Number two, the mayor was actually inside the facility, was warned, was asked to leave several times, more than once, refused to leave, was put under arrest inside the facility, walked out when he was told he was under arrest, and then was cuffed. That is what happened. Lucky for our team in HSI, who I stand behind, who many people don't understand, the Department of Justice encompasses that. They did absolutely everything correct. If you look at these individuals' Twitter accounts, they have been openly saying they are going to go in. There is a reason these Congress people are standing out there running amok and running their mouths as usual. But however, I will tell you this. The mayor was inside, was told he was going to be under arrest inside when he refused to leave after several obligations, several notifications that he should remove himself, chose not to do so, and then was placed under arrest when he walked out of the facility. So while I love the scheme, the game, and the tactics of these individuals that are perfectly fine and were not touched, I will say very clearly, the mayor did not have a right to do that.
They were not assaulted, these three individuals? None of them were assaulted? Because this is what they said.
They were assaulted, Martha?
No, they looked fine. But I'm asking, in terms of what happened in there, it is very striking, especially after having read the list of at least some of the people who are in this facility. And I'm trying to figure out exactly what they are doing to protect the people of New Jersey.
It's called grandstanding, unfortunately, Martha. And when you break the law, there's no grandstanding that will help you, period, the end.
Alina Habba, the interim U.S. attorney.
So just imagine what it costs you and I today. Now, the mayor of Newark, although he probably gets some federal funds, we won't count him. But to have Bonnie Watson-Colma there, Robert Menendez Jr., son of Gold Bar Bob, now somehow or another, they're supposed to be in Washington, D.C. right now because they're not on recess. So I'm just wondering how it is that they found themselves in Newark. And, of course, they flew down there at our expense, just like Chris Van Hollen and 4 other Democrats all went and stayed at the Hyatt Regency down in San Salvador, flew down there, booked rooms in a 5-star hotel, all at our own expense, at the taxpayer expense. Not one dime was spent by them. And the exact same thing was going on today. Why exactly would you be standing outside of an ICE facility? And believe me, I know that it's a contracted facility. So once it's contracted, ICE is running it. It's an ICE facility. It's actually even considered to be, in a way, governmental property. But it doesn't matter because irregardless, it is private property. So it doesn't matter. So the argument initially is, well, the mayor, Ras Baraka, he was standing outside of the gate. That doesn't matter whether he's standing outside the gate because that's actually true. He was outside of the gate causing a disturbance, was told to leave the property. Is the gate whether or not he's on the property? Absolutely not. The parking lot is the property, all the way to the designated property lines, where the survey says that that's the end of the property. So when you're told to leave the property, you have to leave the property. It's called a trespass warning. And it was given to him by law enforcement officers numerous times, and Ras Baraka chose to ignore it. So here's what happens after he ignores. You can actually run these videos, run right after another, guys. They're all from the post-millennial. So they say he was outside of the gate, but already warned to leave the property. The gate's inside the property. 30 or 40 yards where the parking lot is inside the property. He was told to leave the property. Probably because he was causing a disturbance, but you don't even need a reason to tell anybody to leave private property. It is an actual private contractor who runs this facility. And once you're told to leave, you need to leave or you'll be arrested for trespassing, as he was. He was given numerous warnings that if you don't leave, you're going to be arrested. And Ras Baraka, the idiot that he is, because you can't be a smart man and run Newark into the sewer You just can't be a smart man. That's the end of the sentence. You can't be a smart man and run a city into the sewer like Newark is, New Jersey's biggest city. So anyway, post-millennial, here's two videos in a row of the disturbance that occurred just outside the gate. Play for me.
Get off of her! You cannot push it! You cannot Congress! You cannot push members of Congress! Get off of her!
You are fascist! Fascist is peaceful! Put your hands on me. You know that's wrong.
So did anybody see the congressman or congresswoman being assaulted? I believe he was the one in the skinny jeans style suit running around. All I could hear was the woman who I would rather be tortured in Guantanamo Bay for 7 hours straight. I would rather be tortured than listen to that woman's voice for 5 seconds. Drag me to Guantanamo and waterboard me for 7 hours. Then have that fascist. This is nonviolent. You can't touch a congressman. Yes, you can. If they're committing a crime, you absolutely can. But where were the assaults? Because they said they were assaulted. I didn't see anybody being assaulted. Did you see anybody be assaulted? If anything, I saw extreme caution because all the cops in that, cops and security officers in that video knew that they were dealing with an incendiary situation. So they were dealing with the entire thing, with the entire scenario with kid gloves. If you know cop situations, the way that I know cop situations, or the way that Brent knows cop situations, that was handled very delicately. Because that really could have gone south, and it absolutely didn't. And nobody was hurt, and nobody was assaulted, and Ras Baraka was rightfully arrested. And that's just the way that it is. If you don't like it, you were told to leave, you were trespassed 3, 4, 5 times, and you chose not to leave, then that's on you. These are the two idiots, just so everybody knows who they are, that again flew down there at taxpayer expense, drove down there, whatever it was, wasted an entire day. That's what they did. They actually got a tour, by the way. They were allowed. It was just Ras Baraka wasn't allowed to be in. And now, by the way, they've now, which they never should have. I hate when anybody caves. But now everybody's been granted a tour of the facility. What are you going to do? You're going to go in there and stare at MS-13 members and you can't even speak their language? That's what you're going to do? You're going to go and stare at them? This is a detention facility that's been used for years, I assume. It's not brand new. And what are your concerns? They're MS-13 members, and even they're not. It doesn't matter. I don't care whether they're MS-13 members or the mother of the year of seven children. I don't care. Is she illegal? Okay, deported. You go sit. I mean, that's it. You're like, Tom, I'm not mean. That's just the way that it is. That's what is actually true. Just remember the rules of today are, if you do not affirm my beliefs, then you lack virtue. You lack character. You are immoral. Or in the modern church, you're not Christ-like if you don't affirm somebody's beliefs. All right, what if their beliefs is that they're transgender? Their belief is that all illegals should stay in the country. And I don't affirm what you believe, then I am unloving and immoral, lack virtue, and not Christ-like. All right, well, what if the person believes in murder? What if the person believes in pedophilia? What if the person's a pederast and I don't affirm their beliefs? Does that make me immoral? Because that's what they really believe. If I don't affirm what somebody really believes, then I'm immoral. So what these congressmen and women believe is that these illegals should get some sort of due process that they're not getting, that they never cared about until Donald Trump was doing the deportations. When Hussein Obama deported 3 million people, where was Goldbar Bob Jr.? Where was Bonnie Watson? Where was any Democrat? Where was Ras Baraka? I mean, I guarantee you all three of these idiots were all in politics when on Hussein Obama's last day in January of 2017. I guarantee you they were, but they never said a word. Not for the first person he deported, Not for any of the people he killed during drone strikes, and he killed more people. He killed more people using drones and bombs than any president in presidential history. Unilateral strikes is what I'm talking about, not carpet bombing of World War II. No, not one word. And so they didn't say one word about Barack Obama's first deportation, his 100,000th, his millionth, his 1.5 millionth, his 2 millionth, his 2.5 millionth, or his 3. They never said one word. But they want to go look. What do they want to do? They want to go parade around an ICE detention facility to check on people. Why didn't you check on people during the Biden administration? He deported people too. He deported people. It's absolute insane logic that has no basis in logic whatsoever because it's not logic. It's the same rhetoric. Tariffs are terrible. We need to drop all our tariffs, but you're not worried about us being tariffed. Everybody's tariffing the United States, so you don't care about that. You only care when the United States gives or puts on reciprocal tariffs. That's all you care about, is when we levy reciprocal tariffs. Suddenly you care about tariffs. It's just a matter of being tribal. It's a matter of being obstructive. And what they're actually trying to obstruct is what's best for the United States of America. So these are the two goofballs that claim they were assaulted, by the way. And there's a really good video of Gold Bar Bob Jr. He's actually crying. I had it. I threw it to the show, but I forgot to put it on the show. But he's actually crying. He starts to cry. About what? Again, find somebody who loves you the way that Gold Bar Bob Jr. loves Trendy Arago. You're the man, Aaron. Is that it?
Yep.
Yeah, play it for me.
I can't begin to describe what happened here today. It started as part of our core functions as members of Congress to conduct oversight of ICE and privately run detention centers, where we waited patiently for over an hour and a half. Just waited. Waited to do what we've done together at Elizabeth Detention Center. We waited. And then we only saw action taking place outside where we were waiting, not knowing what was happening. We walked out to see what was going on. We saw Mayor Baraka out here by himself, mayor of the largest city in New Jersey, waiting for us to come back. ICE brought to meet the mayor of Newark over 20 armed individuals. 20 armed individuals to confront the mayor of Newark, along with 3 members of Congress. It was an act of intimidation. It was an act of intimidation not just to the mayor, not just to us, but to everyone watching. We know what ICE has been doing in our communities. We know that the president lied and this administration lies every day when they're saying they're going after criminals. It is not true. They feel no weight of the law. They feel no restraint on what they should be doing, and that was shown in broad daylight today when they not just arrested the mayor of Newark, but when they put their hands on 2 members of Congress who are standing behind me. How is this acceptable?
I think it's important to tell you right now, though. You guys may, individually feel a little broken. You guys all talk about the effects you have to deal with, and, you talk about the impact of that day. But you guys won. You guys held. Democracies are not defined by our bad days. We're defined by how we come back from bad days, how we take accountability for that. And for all...
We just had to throw Kinzinger on there just for the heck of it. So, I was thinking about it would make Aaron work really hard, but just keep stacking because we could have gone with Chuck Schumer next when he started to bawl. Remember Crying Chuck? They was called, just Trump nicknamed him Crying Chuck afterwards. And then, of course, afterwards named Adam Kinzinger Crying Adam. But anyway, all right, so leading report tweet. Some Democrats are now calling to abolish ICE after the DNC members were caught trespassing at a facility in New Jersey. So now they want to abolish ICE because Democrats stood outside. And by the way, Gold Bar Bob Jr., I like that way better than just calling him Robert Menendez Jr. So yeah. Gold Bar Jr., he was allowed in. He was actually allowed in. And by the way, he sits there and he's from the podium, he's crying. and he starts to yell and scream, and it's all just, pun intended, trumped up fake emotion, because none of which he claims happened. We all watched the video. The man was untouched. We all watched the video. Nothing. How you laid hands on a congressman. By the way, you're nothing special. You're actually less. You are a representative. You are less than the people you represent. You see, what's happened is all of these congressmen and women have elevated themselves, and they consider themselves to be our leaders. They are not our leaders. The Constitution is our leader, and they are our do-boy representatives. That's who they are. I mean, everybody, whether we like them or not, they're our do-boy representatives. The president's not our representative. President, sadly, when it's someone like Hussein or Biden, are our actual leader. But the senators that all consider themselves to be our leaders, consider themselves to be wiser than all of us, most of them could never, like I always tell you, could never even run an Applebee's. Most of them could never even run your business for a day, let alone do your job for a day. I'm not kidding you. Well, maybe if they had the training. No, I'm telling you, we send the most incapable people to look at AOC, look at Ilhan Omar. What could Ilhan Omar ever do in life? What could she ever do? Could she be a policeman? Could she be a firefighter? Could she run a hot dog stand? Absolutely not. She couldn't do anything. The woman's incapable of running the most minute business, let alone her own business. But what she's good at, allegedly, for some people, I guess, is yelling and screaming and saying that we want to defund the police. And she wants to represent her primary country, which is Somalia, which is her actual primary country, not like Letitia James' primary residence, which we'll get to her in a minute. So now, just because this is a typical Democratic Party response, and it all depends on what happens with a typical Democratic Party response, is it's either going to be put out, the fire is either going to be put out by us, or we're going to participate in it. COVID-19, we all decided to participate. Not we, some people. We never did. Foundation Church, myself, my family, Aaron, his family, Brent, his family, we don't participate. We don't participate in the crap. But I'm talking about as a country and as a party and as a church, not my church, I'm talking about Christianity on the whole, decided to participate in the delusion because people were too afraid of the ramifications of not participating in the delusion. And it's the same thing that goes on here. You saw this was an event that never happened. They want to abolish ICE based on an event that never happened. Just like they want you to put on a mask, stand 6 feet apart, close your business, close your church, take 10 vaccinations for a pandemic that never happened, for a virus that is not deadly, for, again, simply an event that never happened. The event being a pandemic that's not a pandemic, a virus that's not deadly, that they're claiming to be deadly. Same exact things going on here. Same thing with climate change. They're offering you their various totalitarian solutions to a problem that doesn't exist, and or a problem they just make up out of thin air, and or a problem that they cause. That's what they do. They cause the pandemic. Again, it's just easier to talk about it using their verbiage, but it wasn't a real pandemic. They caused COVID-19, and then they offered you their totalitarian solutions to an issue that wasn't even an issue. Same thing's happening here. We got to abolish ICE based on an incident that never occurred, where congressmen and women were assaulted by we have the video. They don't realize that we all have the video. They don't realize that every single person standing there, whether they were on their side or the opposing side, was standing here like this. Like this. Everybody was. Just like all of us would be doing if we were there. Everybody does it. So let me show you this one. I put it in the same category because it just shows you how Democrats behave. This Nick Sorter video breaking. An arrest warrant has been issued for the woman who spit on U.S. Attorney Ed Martin, the one that was not confirmed because of Tom Tillis. We'll get to that in a minute too. U.S. Attorney Ed Martin, she's been arrested. Here's the video of her spitting on him. Play it for me.
How you doing? Oh, whoa.
You are a disgusting man.
Had to mute the beginning because of multiple F-bombs. Too impossible to bleep them out because it would have just been bleep for the entire time because she was just dropping one F-bomb after another. Well, she's been arrested. You can go next for me. So Steve Groover tweet just in. The leftist who spit on Ed Martin during an interview has been arrested. U.S. Marshals arrested. And she will be charged under 18 U.S. Code 111. She is facing 20 years in federal prison for knowingly assaulting a federal official and potentially millions in legal fines. See, these leftists believe that they can do anything they want and there's no repercussions. They want all the repercussions given to people like Donald Trump who do nothing. But when they actually firebomb a dealership, they believe that that's the same thing as Donald Trump doing nothing. That they're going to get off like Donald Trump got off. Donald Trump got off because he didn't commit a crime. Donald Trump got off because he's president of the United States. You're not going to be president of the United States, little spitter. So you're like, she looks like she's in her early 20s. So she'll get out of prison somewhere probably between 10 and 20 years from now. So she will never see her 20s again as a free woman. Because that you have irrefutable proof that she battered a federal official. You spit on one, that's battery. Okay, I can flat out tell you this. Aaron said cop stories are good. So I went into a school. And this kid was going absolutely berserk going there because his parents never parented him in his entire life. So I went in there as a cop, and it's under the statute in Florida called disruption of school function. And I walked in there, and I told the kid to stand up against the wall. He walked right up to me and hockered right between my eyes. Hit me right between the eyes with a glistening, white hot, all white hocker. It was coming down my nose. It's like that. All right. Now, he never even saw what happened to him next because the next thing he knew, my forearm was under his neck as I slammed him up against the wall that from 10 feet away. And then he went down to the ground and I handcuffed him. Okay, because he probably thought, and his parents were sitting there thanking me. Now he probably thought spitting means nothing. No, what it meant was he was charged with felony battery on a law enforcement officer, as well as disruption of school function. Those are the true statutes. That's what's true. And this little, I mean, I almost said something really bad, but this little person just thought, you know what? What's the big deal? I can do whatever I want, and there's never any repercussions because I'm a Democrat. Well, the Democrats aren't in charge, so enjoy the Pandora's box that you opened. Which, by the way, you didn't even need to open any Pandora's box because you would have been criminally charged with this anywhere by anybody in any jurisdiction. Except maybe if you spit on a Democrat, which you would never do. But anyway, you would always be charged with this. So, again, it's just good to see a Democrat receive their just rewards. It's because that's the way it's supposed to be. Let's go. Let's just look at some miscellaneous Democrat stuff. Josh Dunlap tweet, Congressman Jasmine Crockett, she's in a scandal about Act Blue donations that were given to her campaign, and now there's more. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett says she doesn't have to explain. Doesn't have to, Aaron. She doesn't have to explain why her family has been cashing their dead grandmother's Social Security check since 2004. For 21 years, the woman's been dead, but they've been cashing her Social Security checks, which is once a month.
Wow.
So for 24 years, Aaron, give me 12 times 24. So for 24 years, 288. They've cashed 288 checks. But she doesn't have to. If you look at the look on her face, she doesn't have to. She believes it because she is Jasmine Crockett. So she doesn't have to answer why it is that her family, I just love it, sooner or later, God will cut you down. I wonder why it is they don't want Doge. Why it is that they all are clucking like chickens about Doge, because all of this is going to be exposed. All of this is going to be exposed. All of it is being exposed. Whether it's campaign, whether it's personal, it's all being exposed. That's why they don't want it. They don't care that people are looking at their personal information. They care who is looking at their personal information. So look, I mean, right here, this had to be big balls. This had to be Doge. This had to be Elon Musk, because going through Social Security, because they found out, and Big Tish, or as the guy said in the video, Tush, Tish James, she can say whatever she wants. She's not getting out of it. It's a done deal. She can say it's all debunked or whatever her verbiage was. Oh, right here, I wrote it down. Baseless and discredit. No, it's not. Which we'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, we'd all like to know why her family cashed 288 fraudulent Social Security checks. We'd like to know. And who was it that cashed them? Did she cash any of them? Because each time you cash one, that's a felony. Isn't that great? So they have a potential 288 felony violations in her family. Oh, I'd love to get to the bottom of this. Let's go to the next bit of good news, shall we? Versace enlists trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney to promote, even though he's a fully penis man, to this day. He always claims he's going to get transitioned. Never does. I think he sewed on some boobs, and that's it. So he's fully penis with breasts. So anyway, Mulvaney to promote women's collection amid brand's global sales decline. Gee, I wonder why your sales are declining. Well, because immediately whenever you go the way of woke, or you go the way of Dylan Mulvaney, you have said to half of the world's population, I have no interest in your business. That's why. That's why you're declining. All right, let's go to the next one. All Trump stuff now. So onward to Ed Martin not being confirmed. Ed Martin dropped out and talking about Janine Pirro taking his place now. That's who Trump put up to take Ed Martin's place. And I don't even agree with Ed Martin half the time, just so you know. I mean, he's way too soft on J6. He just said that some J6 prisoners were over-prosecuted. He said that it was a possible Fedsurrection. That's all he ever said. But he also didn't agree with Trump pardoning 200 to 300 of the people that he pardoned. So I don't even agree with Ed Martin completely and totally, but of course he's certainly better than anybody Jeb Boasberg would pick. And if you allowed Ed Martin's term to run out without selecting somebody else to replace him on an interim basis, then Jeb Boasberg gets to pick who this. Now, again, this is incredible. This is all the stuff. People, not those of you that are watching. We're all red-pilled. But people that are just good everyday Republicans, they just think Trump's in, we won. It's not that way. Who's going to try all the cases in D.C.? Does that matter? Boy, does it matter. Those are the cases Jeb Boasberg is trying right now. You say, well, no, he's the judge. He's not trying. No, he's trying them, which, of course, makes him a fraudulent judge. But regardless, the U.S. attorney over D.C., the United States attorney over D.C. is a critical position. I'm talking about it's more important than Pete Hegseth. I'm telling you. It's more important than Kristi Noem. It's more important than Marco Rubio, because if you don't own the district court system inside of D.C., they're going to keep on lawfaring you to death and keep on filing one lawsuit after another. This has to do with criminal prosecutions. Who gets tried, who doesn't? Imagine if Jeb Boasberg, the man who stopped Trump from defunding NGOs that were paying his wife and his daughter, that guy gets to decide who it is that has prosecutorial discretion inside of the District of Columbia. So here's the person behind the 200 Trump lawsuits. Mike Benn's video. Norm Eisen is celebrating Ed Martin being blocked. Play for me.
It is good news for the truth that Ed Martin is no longer under consideration.
And the latest is his own party breaking with him in the Senate to say, no, that kind of a person is not suitable. And that comes from Trump's. That's not from the Democrats. That's from Trump's own party.
That's right.
So, that's the fear factor is much, much less than it was 100 plus days ago.
Well, and I'm not sure this is a profile encouraged moment for Tom Tillis, the senator from North Carolina who started this, but he does deserve some credit for saying, I'm not going to support this person, which kind of got this party started.
So if the devil tells you that you did good, did you? So if Jim Acosta and Norm Eisen, who love to slaughter the unborn to the tune of $440 million per year, if they tell you that you're doing good, are you, Tom Tillis? Tommy Tillis, have you done well? And by the way, remember how Acosta now, as he roots against Trump and has on his show and talks like political allies with Norm Eisen, tried to claim that he was an unbiased journalist for the last 25 years. It's amazing how now suddenly he's unbiased, but when he was an anchor on CNN or a reporter on CNN, White House correspondent for CNN, he suddenly could put aside all of his political bias and report completely and totally neutral from the White House lawn. I mean, it's amazing what these people ask us to believe in. Believe in your government, believe in the judicial system when it's run by Democrats who are purposely trying to destroy your life. Whether it's Navarro, whether it's Bannon, whether it's Stone, whether it's General Flynn, whoever you want to name, but you're just supposed to trust the system of alleged unbiased Tanya Shutkins and Jeb Boasbergs, Engeron, Matthew Colangelo, Alvin Bragg, Letitia James. You're just supposed to trust these systems. Juan Merchan. And just like Jim Acosta, I'm a reporter, man. I have no political bias. I have no political agenda. But now he hosts a leftist podcast or whatever that thing is because he can't get a job anywhere else. All right, so Bannon's War Room. Back to this Ed Martin non-confirmation. So why did this happen? And why did Tom Tillis, the senator out of remember the state North Carolina and all this, because this is Mike Benn speaking on Bannon's War Room. Why is it that Tom Tillis stepped out? He's the only one who said anything. Now, other people would have voted against the confirmation of Ed Martin, Murkowski, Collins, people like that, McConnell. But why did Tom Tillis come out and say specifically, yeah, I've met with Ed Martin. I like a lot of his stands. And if it wasn't for, he said that he would actually vote for him in any other U.S. Attorney's Office appointment, but over D.C. because of where he stood on J6. Where did he stand on J6? Simply that there was federal involvement, that J6 prisoners were mistreated and over-prosecuted. And by the way, Tillis even conceded that some of the J6 prisoners were over-prosecuted, over-punished. But why is it that Tom Tillis was basically the mouthpiece of the opposition of the confirmation of Ed Martin? Here's Mike Benz. Play it for me.
North Carolina, where Tom Tillis is the senator, played an extraordinary role in January 6th itself, which is why it highly disturbs me that Senator Tillis would be the one who's blocking this from the Republican side. North Carolina is what houses Fort Bragg, the special operations, the psychological operations center, and where organizing protest activity has been a hotbed of that exact place for coming up on 60 years now, going back to Lyman Lemnitzer and the Joint Chiefs of Staff domestic operations in the 1960s. But most importantly, North Carolina was the center of the Fedsurrection logistics for January 6th. Go back and read the Thomas Caldwell complaint from the Justice Department. There's the entire Eastern Seaboard presence of the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, and the Three Percenters, all 3 days before January 6th, starting January 3rd, met commonly in North Carolina, where the FBI and Justice Department allowed the, quote, quick reaction force bringing the guns and explosives to skate free as an unindicted co-conspirator. This person was called Person 3, and I'm going to read a few things from this complaint. Person 3 has a room and is bringing someone. He will be the quick reaction force. Oathkeeper friends from North Carolina are taking commercial buses up early in the morning the same night. They will have the goodies in case things go bad and we need to get heavy. Then it says Person 3 had maps. Person 3 created maps of the Capitol in order to map out where to go. He was the transit for actually bringing the guns and explosives to the meetup site in North Carolina. And this person who was literally transporting heavy weapons with a, quote, planned to ferry heavy weapons across the Potomac, should that become necessary on January 6th, and distributing maps to find the quickest route to the Capitol should those heavy weapons be needed. This person played the key role for the basis of the indictment of the entire Oath Keepers squad. Never was charged. Again, right there in North Carolina, right where the military should have been doing its counterintelligence and counterinsurgency work. We know Mark Milley said to Gina Haspel, the head of the CIA, on November 9th, 2020, just 2 months before January 6th, that there was a right-wing coup afoot and something needed to be done to stop it. Mark Milley would not just go back and sit on his thumbs if that's what he said to the CIA director. They would be infiltrating those very groups, and they would be doing it right there in North Carolina, where Fort Bragg is, and exactly where they said the meetup point for January 6th was. So my question is what is so scary about the Fedsurrection theory, given North Carolina's role in it, that the senator from North Carolina is the one blocking it?
See, it's very strange, isn't it? Now I'm just giving you my opinion on this. So this sounds very eerily familiar, does it not? Sounds very familiar to the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping hoax. Now, I'm so tempted to just talk about the kidnapping hoax, but I'm not going to do it. There's so much pops into my head with this stuff. But anyway, where basically you had, of the quote unquote in the Whitmer kidnapping hoax, 12 of the 18 co-conspirators were FBI agents or assets, right? And the same person who ran the Gretchen, I always want to say Gretchen Whitmer. It's like hard for me to say Jesse Smollett now because I've said Juicy Smollett so many times. But anyway, so then the same person who ran the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping hoax out of the FBI, Steve D'Antuono, was the same one who ran the J6 investigation, right? So again, what do these things have in common? Well, what you do is you simply put out an email. How did Enrique Tarrio get 22 years in prison for seditious conspiracy when he was never in D.C.? I wonder if he was intertwined in this, because this had to do with the Proud Boys, of which he oversaw, and the Oath Keepers and one other organization. So there's supposed to be this big headquarters in North Carolina. So somebody puts out a dispatch-style email to all the Oath Keepers and all of the Proud Boys and then the other organization that they named, saying that they're putting together their, quote, quick reaction force. The person putting out this communique is person 3, who is never prosecuted. So the person orchestrating, get this, Aaron, get this, Brent, the quick reaction force, the person who orchestrated bringing, quote, heavy weapons and maps, was never prosecuted. Just like the very first person who broke through the bike racks on 1/6 itself, which was Ray Epps, was also never prosecuted. Like, oh, he was prosecuted after the public demanded for years for him to be prosecuted. Then they dropped a couple of misdemeanors, never spent one day in the DC gulag. So what really happened here? According to Tom Laipply, this is what happened. They put out this generalized email, or generalized communique. And when I say communique, I'm not trying to sound old school. I'm just saying to cover the gamut, whether it's Aaron, you can fill in, whether it's WhatsApp, whether it's Signal, whether it's just text messaging or any other kind of communications. One person, this person 3, puts this out to everybody. We're having a quick reactionary force in case we have to go heavy in Washington, D.C. Now, this person, of course, who orchestrates this entire quick reaction force never gets prosecuted. But anybody who receives that email, anybody who checks like okay to it, or you flag it, or you put message received, do they all now get charged with seditious conspiracy? Because that's exactly what happened in Michigan, where you had the feds saying, hey, we'll pick you up and we'll drive by Gretchen Whitmer's house. Did they even agreed to kidnap her yet? No. Is there anything that says that any of the people that were actually, now half of the people they prosecuted under the wretched witless kidnapping hoax were, of course, exonerated. And then the ones that weren't exonerated, they just refused their appeal, which is absolutely ridiculous. If Trump could, he'd pardon them, but he can't because it's not a federal charge. So anyway, if anybody participated in this communication, like what I was saying, Gretchen Whitmer, so they just put out communications. Hey, listen, you know what we're thinking about, I'm just making this very generalized, kidnapping Gretchen Whitmer. And somebody sends back, really? Now they're a co-conspirator. That's what happened.
Right.
That's exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. So, and that's what the feds do all the time. That's what they did here, in my opinion, is they just put out this big communication to the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys and said, hey, we're meeting. Now, did some meet probably for some sort of, if you want to call it nefarious purpose, you could, although none of them ever transported weapons into D.C. Not one weapon was ever transported into D.C. So they could never be charged with anything like that. But they can end up in a tacit way charging people with seditious conspiracy. Remember, Enrique Tarrio was found guilty of seditious conspiracy. He never stepped foot in D.C. Like, how did he come under the jurisdiction of a D.C. court then? Because they're saying that the offense occurred in Washington, D.C., and a conspiracy took place that caused the offenses. That's what they're doing here, too. Now, why would Tom Tillis, who was basically over this, want to come against a man, Ed Martin, who said that this was possibly a Fedsurrection? Because it happened in Tom Tillis' state, and all the people involved probably are calling Tom Tillis and said, we just need this thing. We need this guy squashed. That makes sense, Aaron?
Yeah.
That's it. That's what happened. I guarantee you that's what happened. And Tom Tillis is such a gelding political whore. He just does whatever he's asked to do. Whatever he's asked to do by the globalist, leftist, warmongering, military industrial complex, rhino Republican neocons, he'll do so that he can maintenance his celebrity, maintenance his senatorial seat. Needs to be primaried and removed. But that's what happened. And that's why it's very strange that it originates, all credit to Mike Benz on this investigation, and why it originates out of North Carolina. Because all of these wrong charges that Donald Trump pardoned these people for, because they should have been pardoned, because they were just drawn into something like this where they received an email and they flagged it, or they said, okay, or whatever it is that they said to it. Yep. They all got dragged into it. And Tom Tillis knows that the genesis of this was in his own state. And he's like, we got to make sure that this guy, Ed Martin, doesn't get, doesn't get put in charge of any sort of 1-6 investigation that will end up exposing the FBI or the CIA and or both State Department, which I believe was probably all of them involved in this. All right, where the heck am I? Might pick a Donald Trump. There we go. All right. So anyway, in reference, so we don't get Ed Martin. Well, could have gotten worse for Tommy Tillis. Maybe. I hope she is as she appears. If she is as she appears, I hope she takes the job. I am pleased to announce that Judge Jeanine Pirro will be appointed interim United States Attorney for the District of Columbia. Jeanine was Assistant District Attorney for Westchester County, New York, and then went on to serve as County Judge and District Attorney, where she was the first woman ever to be elected to those positions. So we'll see. We've all seen her on TV. Appears to be as tough as a box of nails. We'll see. We'll see. But, maybe they got worse. Or maybe they, the best way to put it is be careful what you wish for, because maybe they got somebody who is more dogmatic than Ed Martin. We'll see. From her, she's on the 5 every day. She's pretty tough. So we'll see. We'll see. But a lot of these people, I think they're tough, and they come in, they let me down. Right when you fall in love, they let you down. All right, go to the next one for me. Eric Doherty tweet. Fired Trump FEMA Administrator Cameron Hamilton, fired, escorted out of HQ after telling lawmakers he opposes dismantling FEMA. Did the boss tell you to dismantle FEMA? Yes. Then what do? Dismantle FEMA. Again, these people think there's no repercussions. There's absolutely no ramifications to anything they do or say. That's what they believe. Speaking of that, let's go to the next one. Paul A. Sapula video. Another angle of this epic confrontation of Letitia Tush James now at a town hall regarding the FBI investigation into her alleged crimes. Play for me.
Yes, my question is for Tush James. Will you apologize to President Trump for wasting millions of dollars and the state of New York for a witch trial? And how does it feel to know that you will be imprisoned for mortgage fraud?
We want to thank him for coming. We respect all opinions. Everybody knows those allegations are baseless. They're discredited. And so we want to thank him. Our next speaker.
Autopilot with her voice. I mean, she just goes on this autopilot monotone scream. I mean, they're baseless, they're discredited, they're baseless, they're discredited. That's what she does. She's like a little chatty Cathy doll. It screams. So let's look now. She says, quote, they're baseless and discredited. Marianne Angela video. Here's what Jonathan Turley has to say about it. Play it for me.
Expertise. In your assessment, how serious are these charges against Letitia James?
Well, these all have to be combed out. The James defense team is saying that there were contradictions that were corrected, that, for example, that home was the primary residence of the other signatory. But there are contradictions here. It's an ironic defense because they're saying, look, if the bank simply looked into this on their own, they could see, that these were more units than just 4, that this was not the primary residence of James. That's a type of understanding and leeway that she refused to allow to Donald Trump. She insisted that everything that was signed in her name, and it was signed in his name, I should say, really are bound legally to him. And so they said you have an obligation to make sure everything filed was absolutely accurate. So the karma is crushing here. But the greatest irony, of course, is to hear her counsel and her spokesperson say, this is just wrong because Trump campaigned on moving against his enemies. For those of us who have covered this litigation for years, having those words come out of the mouths of James' staff really is breathtaking. She campaigned on a promise to bag Donald Trump on something. She didn't even bother to name what it was. She literally campaigned on the promise that she would nail him on anything, and then she filled in the violation later.
All right, so remember, she said that it's baseless. All these charges are baseless and discredited. Go to the next one for me. Josh Dunlap video. Whoops. Grand jury subpoenas have just been issued in Letitia James's mortgage fraud case. So I guess they're not so baseless and discredited once the grand jury subpoenas you. So there you go. I mean, this case is happening. And by the way, she can run, but she cannot hide. Did she put down on a mortgage application that her apartment complex was 4 units instead of 5? Yep. Why did she do it? Because the 5-unit, it's the 5-unit line in New York State, where if it's 5 units, then you have to get a commercial loan. If it's under 5 units, then you get a regular non-commercial loan, and the interest rates are far less for a non-commercial loan. So she lied and committed a felony on a mortgage form. She committed mortgage fraud. That's number one. And then this is over 40 years of offenses that she did. And these things are still, by the way, in place. She also claimed that her father, Ilhan Omar style, was her husband. Ilhan Omar, brother, but her husband, her dad. But anyway, so she claimed that her dad was her husband so that she would qualify for a loan. That is mortgage fraud, and that's a felony. She also claimed to get a lower rate on a mortgage. So she lies to qualify for a mortgage. She lies to get a mortgage that's non-commercial, so she pays a lesser interest rate. And then she lies and said these are all separate mortgages, and she's worth a little over $10 million, I think, even though she's no way she's ever made that much money in her life, except through maybe mortgage fraud. Then she claims that a residence in Virginia, which she's never lived at one day in her life, is her primary residence, because if she claims that it's her primary residence, what does she get? A lower mortgage rate. So she lies again. There's no way around this. There's no way around it. It all depends on who's going to prosecute the case. If somebody is going to go ahead and try to lock her up, they will succeed. They will actually succeed. Now, these offenses, though, occurred in New York and Virginia. So it will, again, depend on who prosecutes her. If it's a legitimate prosecutor and a legitimate judge and a legitimate grand jury and a legitimate jury, then she will lose. She will be convicted of these crimes. There's no way to run from it. It's already happened. It's like she's been videoed committing the crime, except it's all on hard copy. So it's over, but it all depends on who prosecutes her. So we'll see in what jurisdiction, because it all comes down to that. It's sad. It's a sad state of affairs that every time you talk about prosecutions inside the United States of America, you have to talk about what jurisdiction you're being prosecuted in. Oh, wait. Democrat Party just tells you to believe in it until that you just have to unabashedly, in an unquestioning sort of way, believe in the judicial system until it sides against them, and then they don't believe in it at all. But if I say that I don't believe in it, I'm a threat to democracy, an insurrectionist, and I'm committing seditious conspiracy. If they do it, they're actually acting in democracy. Isn't that weird? If I question the government or if I question the judicial system, then I'm a threat to democracy. When they question it, they are acting in democracy. Isn't that funny how that works? All right, let's go to the next thing. Eric Doherty video. Breaking, this is infuriating. I just came out, am I in the right one? Got the right one?
Yep.
Okay. It just came out the Trump administration must run. We talked about this. Now here comes the dollars. Must run $100 million in repairs because of when the Biden administration drained the strategic oil reserve to help Democrats win in the midterms. Play it for me.
The Strategic Petroleum Reserve is, it's about 750 million barrels of oil in strategic. This isn't for timing markets or, filling it or unfilling. It's for when a very bad day happens. The world literally runs on oil. If you don't have oil, you're screwed in everything you do, economics, defense, anything, healthcare. And so we created a Strategic Petroleum Reserve for that very rainy day. And in 2022, coming into those midterm elections, the Democrats saw inflation was a problem. Things weren't going well from them. And they drained nearly half of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to make those midterm elections go well for them. Sadly, it did help them. In the short term, they flooded the market with oil, reduced the price of oil in the short term, but at the cost of U.S. strategic positioning. And they damaged the facilities in the Strategic Petroleum Reserve by draining them so fast. So I have a few challenges. We have to spend over $100 million to repair the damage of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve that wasn't built for that. And by design, it's much slower to fill it than to drain it.
I'll try not to go on a screaming diatribe about what it means to be a Democrat in 2025, because I certainly have done enough of that over the last month, but that's what it means to be a Democrat in 2025. That this president, that Ana Navarro and Joy Reid, Joy Behar, all of them, all the Democratic Party pundits, they all defend, they all claim is such a great guy and did such a great job. He drained the SOR, the Strategic Oil Reserve. Some call it the SPR, but I call it SOR because it's easier to say. It's either Strategic Petroleum Reserve or Strategic Oil Reserve. So he drained the SOR to the place where they actually damaged the infrastructure. To the tune, it's going to cost, they did $100 million worth of damage so that Joe Biden could be elected in 2024 or when he switched out for Kamala. That's what they did. So they could lower gas prices for a few months because they raided the Strategic Oil Reserve and drained it to record low levels. And in so doing, they drained it so fast. I mean, how do you look at yourself in the mirror? I mean, I just wonder how it is that Norm Eisen gets up, or even because he was doing the interview with Jim Acosta. Jim Acosta, you get up in the morning. If this was the president that I voted for, I'd be ashamed of myself. If the president that I voted for, for political purposes, drains the SOR to the tune of doing it so fast that he destroys the infrastructure of the site to the tune of $100 million worth of damage. I'd be ashamed of myself that I ever voted for that, let alone come out and espouse the virtue of that person. I mean, I would be so ashamed that I would actually come out and speak about how terrible the job was, the job that was done. I would come out and say, let these guys not only don't come out and say how terrible the job was that was done, they come out and actually say that Biden was a great president in direct contradiction to all evidence and all data. I mean, who drains the SOR so fast that you damage the infrastructure in it? Now Trump has to come in and fix it. He has to actually repair $100 million worth of that infrastructure in the SOR. Unbelievable. All right, this James O'Keefe video is mildly troubling. AG Pam Bondi was covertly recorded. He keeps getting these people. And James O'Keefe went into hiding for a couple days over the Prince Andrew release from the Epstein files. And then I'm assuming over this Bondi recording. But anyway, Bondi was covertly recorded talking about, nobody's ever said before that there is thousands of videos of Jeffrey Epstein with children and of children with Jeffrey Epstein. But that's all starting to leak out now. So Bondi, they somehow got Bondi speaking to a stranger in a restaurant. It's all weird. And Tom, can you give us any explanation? I can't. James O'Keefe can't. Nobody can. Who's she talking to? Why is she talking about it? What's the purposes of her talking about it? Are they nefarious? Is there a nefarious agenda behind it? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But anyway, AG Bondi was covertly recorded. Play for me.
Yesterday, Attorney General of the United States Pam Bondi was at the White House and disclosed what she represented as brand new information in relation to Jeffrey Epstein, the existence of tens of thousands of videos featuring little children.
There are tens of thousands of videos
of Epstein with children or child porn.
Now, this is the first time an official has publicly acknowledged that videos of Epstein and his victims exist. What you may not know is just 9 days prior, the Attorney General had a very similar conversation with a total stranger in a restaurant.
Do you know when the Epstein files are going to get released?
We hope soon. The FBI's been.
Okay.
So.
Any dates?
No, you know what it is? There are tons and thousands of videos.
Yeah.
And it's all with little kids. So they have to go through every one.
In the past, officials have spoken about the, quote, mountain of evidence in the Epstein case. But they've never, previous to that moment, acknowledged on the existence of videos of, quote, little kids. Just a few days later, at 2 p.m. on May 1st, our reporter sent the AG's office the text of the recording. We asked why this detail had not been disclosed to the public, but was instead being told to a random stranger at a restaurant. The Attorney General used almost the exact same language as she did with the stranger in the restaurant, language that we shared with her press office.
There are tens and thousands of videos.
Yeah.
And it's all with little kids. There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
Now, we hesitated to publish this story, but believe, like we did yesterday, that the public has a right to know. And this one raises serious questions. On one hand, why did our country's highest law enforcement official share this information first not with the American people, but with a self-described nanny at brunch? But more importantly, why was this information held back in the first place? Does this show that a government apparatus is still working behind the scenes to protect powerful people involved in the scandal? Based upon the response to our Epstein story yesterday, it's clear that the American people want answers, and they want accountability.
So as James O'Keefe says, the American people want answers. Tom, give us answers. I can't. I have no idea what's going on. Neither does anybody. Nobody does. There's starting to be people, whether it's Thomas Rentz, Owen Schroyer, a little bit of Alex Jones, are starting to question Pam Bondi. But Pam Bondi's not covering for Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was not having sex with teenage girls on Epstein's Island. Would we all agree? Okay, so if she's doing this, she's covering for somebody. I don't know what. I mean, if she's covering for somebody, not herself. And there's no way for her, if she is covering, there's no way that she can be covering without the approval of Donald Trump. Tom, what are you saying? I don't know. Is Donald Trump covering for Republicans that are on the Epstein flight log? I don't know. I have no idea. Trump said his own interactions with Epstein kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. I know Trump didn't have sex with teenage girls. We know that. I think he flew once with Epstein. RFK Jr. flew once or twice with Epstein. So, I mean, the man had an office at Harvard until 2018. So, and his pedophile conviction was, I think, 2004? I think 2004, 2008, whatever it was. So anyway, what's going on? Who is Pam Bondi talking to? Nobody knows. And why was she talking about it in a restaurant like that? Nobody knows. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But again, it's getting to be where if you understand law enforcement procedures in any way, shape, or form, which I do, there's no way not to have released this stuff already. And at least you can be putting it out in tranches. And it's very easy to cover up for victims. Very, very easy. So, especially with technology today. Aaron can blur videos in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And I mean, Aaron does the entire show in a matter of an hour of blurring things and bleeping things. You can just blur out a person's face or whatever. I mean, and you wouldn't even be letting people see the videos anyway. Right. You just be putting out the perpetrators. And why have we not, to this day, we've never gotten this black book, we've never gotten the flight log, and all of it's available. And we have to ask, why is it? I don't know. We're 109 days in, I think, of the Trump administration. Why haven't we got it? I don't know. But it's starting to not look good. It's starting to smell. You know, it's like that, that raccoon that scurried away, and then you're chasing around your house, it scurried underneath your house. You're like, man, I hope it gets out of there. And then find out a couple months later, it didn't get out, and you're starting to smell it. Starting to get like that. This stuff needs to be released. All right, Insurrection Barbie tweet out of the Doge department here. Grant, this is what Doge has accomplished, a culmination of what Doge has accomplished. Actions terminated 9,500 grants, 8,200 contracts, reduced 260,000 federal jobs, audited data systems and dismantled agencies like USAID, processes fixed, centralized grant and contract approvals, upgraded payment and IT systems, and implemented AI-driven fraud detection across 39 departments. Savings $160 billion total, including $4 to $5 billion from grants, $2 billion from waste and fraud and abuse, $630 million SPA, $382 million labor, $1.9 billion out of Treasury. Grants terminated over 9,500 grants targeting DEI, climate, and foreign aid. He or she, I'm assuming it's a she with Insurrection Barbie. She has an entire thread on this. It's huge about way more specific than that, but this was just the final sort of conglomeration of the entire thread. All right, 10:15. That's good. I'm going to get these guys out of here early tonight. Rumble Rants tonight. Texas Billy, $50. Nude Monk, $20. USA Abbey Girl, $20. Naz Yeager, $10. Thank you guys so much in the rant. If you are somehow able to see me on the chat, I still don't have Rumble. I don't know if you do, if it's intermittent or whatever, wherever you're watching. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Love you all. Stick around for the post game. Join us at Foundation Church. Let's break our record. I believe our record's 1,300 people watching live. Yep. We had over 1,000 watching live. This Sunday, let's break our record. 10 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday morning. You'll see Aaron start to lead worship around 10:15. You'll see me take the stage around 11:05 for preaching. A church that's just like this podcast. A church that, if you were to summarize the entire church, it's just like this podcast. The message is just like this podcast. It's all Bible, and there's politics there too, from the pulpit, because I don't believe in no politics from the pulpit. That's all garbage. It's not a Bible verse. But anyway, if that's the kind of church you're looking for, which it should be, and we are, 100% Bible, and after that, more Bible, and no holds barred, nothing held back, never closed, never will, never caved, never will. If you went to a church that did, you need to get rid of it and you need to go to a real church, whether it's us or somebody else, but there just aren't many out there. So join us on Sunday morning is what I'm telling you. And if you can't or you don't want to, I'll see you Monday night at 9 o'clock. Listen, I love you guys. God bless you. See you Sunday morning or Monday night at 9 o'clock. One of the two. See you then. God bless you. John chapter 8, verse 12. Then Jesus spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. No matter what is going on around you. Listen, hell could be breathing all around you right now. God has a plan. God has a path. God has a destination, and there's not one person that can take you off of that. Not one.
Thank you for watching the Tom Laipply podcast. We appreciate your support. As a special thank you, when you donate $25 or more, you'll receive a free TLP mug. Sip your favorite beverage while enjoying all the insights from our episodes. Your support helps us keep bringing you current events from around the globe. Donate now to claim your mug.
The projects, the benefits. How do you lead the world without having the best infrastructure in the world? How do you lead the world without having the best healthcare in the world? How do you lead the world without having the best education system in the world? How do you lead the world when you don't have that done?
Why do you think that communists and socialists keep trying to implement these systems into countries even when they keep failing time and time again? Is it just because they want power, or they're actually seeking that perfect utopia, or what?
C.S. Lewis says that it might actually be better to live under greedy robber barons than it is perpetual moral busybodies. He goes, the robber baron, the person that is motivated by greed or a lust for power, they may at some point have that desire satiated. He goes, but the person that torments you for your own good will do so without end because they do it with the approval of their own conscience. When I read Gramsci, when I read Herbert Marcuse, when I read Foucault, when I read Simone de Beauvoir, there seems to be a common trend, a disdain for God, because God represents a power and authority outside of themselves, a disdain for objective reality because God makes objective reality possible. And then there's no objective morality. So if you're rebelling against reality itself and your goal is to be your own God, you can come up with 1,000 different ways to justify whatever you're doing, to include what you're doing to other people. And if they're the ones standing in the way of this great utopia that we're going to create because they haven't fully embraced the ideas the way they should, well then we'll be happy to re-educate them or imprison them or enslave them or kill them, because ultimately they're the ones standing in the way of utopia.
We are on our way to the House floor to vote on what is possibly the dumbest bill we could be spending our time on, legislation to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. This is ridiculous. And look, you might think that we're doing this because it's another opportunity for House Republicans to be sycophantic to the man in the White House. But the other reason why we're doing this is, despite how unpopular this name change is, they would rather us be talking about nixing the Gulf of Mexico rather than talking about how House Republicans are trying to nix healthcare for millions of Americans. They would rather us talk about the Gulf of Mexico than talk about how Donald Trump's reckless and erratic tariff policy is crashing the economy. Changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico in this economy? What the hell are we doing here?
I'm here 30 minutes before the flight.
Can you please leave, sir?
No.
Can you please leave my personal space?
I'm decided that you ain't gonna let me check in.
Make me check you in.
You literally work for a company that I bought a plane ticket for. Check in.
And you're not getting on your flight. It's the Mayday flight. You did. And you think you're gonna check me in. I bet you we won't. Okay?
I paid for a ticket.
And you
I paid for a
$25
ticket.
for agent assistant, and you checked in 3 hours later. Hello.
I just said that I.
Get on your flight.
Yeah, I just said that I would pay the $25.
And you thought you were gonna get on your flight. And you thought you were gonna get on your flight. And you thought you were gonna get on your flight. And you thought you were gonna get on your flight.
I literally paid for a ticket. I'm here 30 minutes. I'm here 30 minutes before my flight, and they're not letting me check.
Listen, we don't control that.
And you will never fly.
You were about to let me check in. You were about to let me check in, and you did not in your personal space. This is not your personal space.
This is my stationery.
This is not your personal space. You work for a company. This is not your personal space.
We ain't gotta worry about it. We ain't gotta worry about it.
You don't have to worry about it. You're literally not doing your job for a customer that has paid for a plane ticket to get home.
I told you to stop putting the camera on me, sir.
I'm literally here at Frontier. I bought a ticket, and they are not letting me check in. For no reason whatsoever.
Well, you said you're never flying the airline again, so we might as well help you out and have you not fly the airline.
I've already bought a ticket. I've literally already bought a ticket, and this is your reaction.
President Donald Trump's second campaign for president was one of unfinished business. It just was very clear that he wasn't done after 2020, and he had a lot more to do, and so did the people working for him, not to mention the voters who wanted him to be in for a second term.
Trump was genuine. Trump was authentic. Even the stuff you don't like about Trump is authentic. And we were at a time in our country where that's what we needed more than anything else.
The narrative from the left had gotten so heated.
They dragged his name and his reputation and his image through the mud in such a vitriolic way that it even inspired someone to take a shot at him.
Take a look at what happened.
Not only did they turn him into a sympathetic character, they turned him into a fighter, fighting for us.
Trump sweeping all 7 battleground states.
We did it. We knew that the only way Trump could win was if it was too big to rig, and that's what we delivered.
It was a resounding rejection of what the left had become. The management of the decline of America was over.
He also proved that his predecessor was a miserable, lying failure.
That all we really needed was a new president. This will forever be remembered as the day the American people regained control of their country.